Are you worried that caring for your aging parents and supporting your adult children is destroying your ability to retire? With long-term care costs averaging over $100,000 a year and the cost of college tuition continuing to skyrocket, the math simply doesn't add up for most families. After working with clients for the better part of a decade who might be known as the sandwich generation, today I'm going to speak about the financial pressure points that some of you might end up facing over time, in addition to the framework that I developed to help you address them. Stick with me here as we're going to talk about tools you can use to continue to focus on your retirement while also giving the attention and the money needed to care for the ones that mean the most to you. If you find these videos useful, please take a minute to like and subscribe to our page. Have you ever taken a step back and wondered why you feel your retirement accounts might not be growing as fast as your peers say they are? The answer might actually be hidden right inside your day-to-day, but it's not too easy to take a step back and look at things from an outside perspective. If you're caring for aging parents, in addition to caring for your adult children, all while trying to save for retirement, you could be feeling squeezed by all sides. And if you're not feeling it financially at the moment, it could be brewing internally and add to unnecessary stress for your life. Let's break down what's really happening here. These three major responsibilities are not just competing for your time and attention, they're also competing for the same dollars in your bank account. This could create what some would consider to be a mathematical impossibility, as sometimes there's simply not enough money to adequately fund all three scenarios. In addition, something to be aware of is that you have to take care of your mental well-being as well as your financial well-being over time. The first pressure point I want to address that could feel crushing to some is taking care of aging parents. Consider this. The average 65-year-old could need up to $165,000 after tax annually to care for health expenses in retirement. But what happens when these expenses come up unexpectedly, before you've had time to prepare? Let's take a minute to talk about our hypothetical friends, the Jones family. When Mrs. Jones' mother unexpectedly experienced a stroke, the family quickly learned that Medicare wouldn't cover all of the expenses needed for her health. Within 18 months, Mrs. Jones spent over $120,000 from her own retirement portfolio to provide the specialized care her mother needed. This isn't just a financial burden, it can be very heavy on your emotions as well, as families often struggle with guilt, obligation, and worry that their own financial security is taking a toll. Now, let's talk about the second pressure point, caring for adult children much longer than expected. The phenomenon known as boomerang kids, which are adult children that return home and need financial assistance for much longer than anticipated, has become much more common given today's economic conditions. The rising cost of living and potentially overwhelming student debt has made the ability for young adults to get out and live the life on their timeline that their parents did to achieve financial security seem almost impossible. We're actually seeing more now than ever that this extended assistance is becoming more of the norm rather than the exception. Many parents today find themselves doing things like subsidizing housing, paying for premiums for health insurance, making car payments for their children, or even just acting as an emergency fund for their kids in their 30s and even into their 40s. What was once expected to be just a few years of assistance right out of college has changed into potentially a decade or more of financial help at the expense of your retirement savings. When these two pressure points converge, caring for aging parents in addition to helping your adult children, this is the perfect storm for your retirement plan. The financial resources that should be saved for your future over time are instead moving out of your pocket and out of your retirement accounts to multiple different areas in your life. This can create a very delicate situation where making sure that those around you have what they need to survive can take a very serious toll on your plans for the future. Now that we have a brief understanding of what's going on here, let's take a minute to talk about three critical mistakes that we see the sandwich generation make commonly. The first being not having those conversations early enough with the aging parents as far as what their healthcare costs and needs are going to be in the future. Although the conversation could seem weird at first, not having and or delaying this conversation could lead to financial burdens in the future. Too often we see families put in a hard place when they figure out there was no plan at all and it's too late, which ends up forcing reactive decision making in times of high emotional uncertainty. The second mistake we see commonly is continuing to help out the adult children in the picture without establishing clear boundaries. When financial help lacks structure, timeframes, or expectations, it can unexpectedly lead to dependency, which can hamper your ability to save for your future. Parents oftentimes find themselves walking what could seem as a financial tightrope, often having to balance their children's immediate needs versus what their own long-term goals are. The third, and potentially most consequential issue here, is constantly prioritizing the needs of others over your own. While this generally comes from a place of love and responsibility, the harsh reality is that prioritizing others could significantly hamper your future plans. The cruel irony of this situation is actually interesting, in that by sacrificing your future to help others in the immediate, you might be creating the same landscape for your children that they will end up facing in the future. You may be familiar with the old airplane story, and that goes something like this. It's important in a time of craziness to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. Although counterintuitive, don't think that this approach is selfish. It's actually strategic, and it can become a lifeline for you when helping planning for your future. The traditional model of planning often fails the sandwich generation because, more typically, the situation occurred where you would raise your children, they would go off into the world, they would go to college and graduate, and they would be financially independent. At that point, you could spend a solid decade or so saving aggressively for retirement, in addition to potentially helping care for your parents for a few years before you decide to retire yourself. In our opinion, unfortunately, that's the world of yesterday, and we don't see things working out too often like that anymore. Now, we're going to dive into the framework that I think of specifically when planning for our clients in the sandwich generation. The foundation of this approach is one that I find to be non-negotiable. Saving for your retirement comes first, not last. What this means in short? Automatically setting up contributions to various types of investment accounts to ensure that you're saving for retirement over time. In a best case scenario, this forced savings takes priority over helping aging parents in addition to your adult children in the immediate. For many clients that I've worked with, this decision might seem selfish or a little off-putting, but a very interesting scenario takes place after a few months of doing so. And many clients end up finding out that they're able to make more level-headed decisions when it comes to family help as opposed to reactive emotional ones with their future. In this next piece of the framework, you can go about by establishing dedicated accounts with specific boundaries, one geared towards helping your aging parents and one geared towards helping your adult children. Similarly to your retirement, you could come up with dedicated monthly contributions to each account, which could help you make, again, more rational decisions over time as opposed to draining your retirement savings in a reactive manner. Remaining disciplined is key here, as when those accounts eventually empty, it'll force you to make decisions that might be more thoughtful as opposed to giving money away indiscriminately. When it comes to speaking to your aging parents about their financial and healthcare needs, it could be helpful that rather than approach the situation in a direct manner, which could cause defensiveness, to consider these talking points. Potentially saying something like, "Hey Dad, I'm considering getting my retirement and healthcare directives in order. What do you have going on?" Or, "Hey Mom, I read about this recent scam targeting seniors. Do you have all of your financial and bill pay priorities in line?" These indirect approaches can be a gentle way to have real critical conversations while still helping your parents preserve their dignity. As far as adult children are concerned, although it may seem unnatural, we do see that establishing clear-cut boundaries becomes essential. A method to do this would be considering a matching principle in your relationship, where your financial help would match their commitment. Whether it be something like rent, or a car payment, or paying back student loans, consider making matching contributions that are equal to what your child is putting forward themselves. After going through all these specifics, I want to make a quick list here for you to jot down. Again, rule number 1, make sure you're automating your savings to ensure that your retirement accounts are being contributed to on a regular basis and you're paying yourself first, not last. Second, establish clear accounts for different members of your family, whether it be aging parents or adult children, with clear boundaries. Third, hold consistent family meetings where these things are top of discussion and you feel open to clear the air, which can ensure smooth communication over time. In my opinion, 3 keys to these conversations are: number 1, having structure; number 2, providing transparency; and number 3, being honest with everyone involved. If you're feeling squeezed or stressed, please understand that you are not alone and this situation is becoming increasingly more common. So check out our next video on how to turbocharge your retirement savings here.